Hey everybody, it's my normal habit to announce when somebody is running for mayor. It doesn't matter whether they're unknown or known. And right now there are a whopping 8 people running for mayor of Oakland against Barbara Lee, who will be running for basically re-election early, the earliest ever in Oakland's history, next year, November. And one of the names that I saw is someone I've known for a little bit, and that's Seneca Scott. I didn't think, okay, I honestly thought, okay, I'll put out that he's running for mayor. Fine. I didn't say vote for him. I didn't say not vote for him. I simply announced he was running for mayor, that it was his second time, that he was responsible for the recall. And I did ask, hey, given his name recognition factor, could he beat Barbara Lee? And I asked that question because it's a provocative question. It's one that's sticking out there. Oh, the hue and cry. And I got after it. And then my longtime friend, I'm going to call you a friend, Pam, gets after me because, and what I don't like is I don't like people who I've known for a long time. If I don't know you, it's a different story. If I've known you for many years and we have each other's phone number, I don't like that you use anybody's platform. It doesn't matter if it's my platform or Mark Zuckerberg's platform to basically holler at me about something when you could simply pick up the phone and call me in the old-fashioned way and not text, call. Because it's quite different to communicate as we were designed to communicate, if you think about it, with me using my mouth and you using your ears, or you using your mouth and me using my ears to hear you, okay? And I really insist on that kind of connection because I believe the other way that you all like to use has really screwed up society as much as it has been beneficial professionally to me. But I digress. As I said to Pam, I said, look, you know what? And I blocked her for a second. I thought, I'm not going to do that. Because when Pam ever did something, I did not hesitate at all to make news out of what she was doing or what she had to say, because I believe that others should value her point of view, okay? And so I had no problem, all right, at all, okay? No problem at all interviewing her. And unfortunately, it's been 10 years since I've done it. And here's one of the examples, okay, there she is, okay? All right. Pam Drake wants Lakeshore open after Oakland police shooting, okay? And then this was 5 years ago. Oakland blogger and political Pam Drake gives her view of 2020. Okay, that was 5 years ago. So excuse me, 5 years. It's been 5 years. Streamed 5 years ago, okay? So I have really made an effort to put her out there, and yet, you know, and this is something that I have done. I have a 14-year history of doing this with Pam on YouTube. Take a look, all right? Oakland Lakeshore Business District, a talk with Pam Drake. And we've known each other since 1993. So you would think she would call. Instead, it's like blasting me on somebody else's Facebook group and then responding to my text, all because she claims that Seneca Scott is anti-gay. Now, I said, look, if you have an issue with that, you're welcome to come on my show and talk about it. But Seneca Scott has said to me several times he's not, okay? And he said that he's also on video. I have it. I should dig it out because it's part of a longer conversation, but we've had that conversation several times, including twice on video. But if you don't like somebody and you don't want that, fine. But remember something. There are a bunch of names of people running for office. A bunch of them. And they all deserve to get notice. If you want to find out who they are, all you have to do is go to Oakland News Online, and then where it reads Oakland elections here, click on it, okay? And it'll take you immediately to the page. Isn't that convenient? And then scroll down here, like so. And I'm gonna move this over a little bit, keep scrolling. And then go here, click, it opens up, it gets your candidates. Then go down to mayor. You can see there's Latanya Brown, Brenda Grisham, Tyron Jordan, Barbara Lee, re-election, Mindy Penachuk, Seneca Scott, and Andrea Smith, all right? So I know who I'm gonna talk about next. I've already talked about Brenda once, and Tyron. And Mindy, I talked to him about Mindy too, but I think she deserves a second one. But at any rate, regarding Seneca, there are people who quite literally get deranged, take this attitude that, oh my God, he's the Antichrist, okay? Why is that? Because Seneca, in his attempt to draw attention, took what is, in my opinion, a horrible decision that he decided he was going to contribute to the division that seems to be the drug of society today. And for example, he refers to people who he perceives as being progressive as soggy. I don't know what soggy means. I believe I've never asked him. I guess soggy means you're squishy, you don't care, you're not hard. Okay. So, or he has went to make other points against what a person was saying at their press conference, and knowing that those persons were going to be or are of a pugilistic habit, would, well, of course, get into near skirmishes with them. Or, I mean, I can go on and on and on and on, okay? In other words, Seneca, unfortunately, seeks confrontation. Why he's wired that way, I don't precisely know. I think it has something to do with being partially deaf. When I first met Seneca, he was running for council in District 8 the first time. We had a disagreement, and I thought, I'm not going to talk to this guy. And he thought the same thing, okay? But I said, you know what? That's not right. It's not right for me to put myself in a position of being adversarial with him over something that's easily resolvable. And so I contacted him. This was several years ago. And we had a great conversation, became friends. That's how you work through your issues with people. You don't just shun them because of something that you perceive they said. You contact them and say, hey, look, I've got a problem with what you've done here. And I want to smooth this over so that we can go to the bigger issue of making our society, Oakland, better. All right? And that is not too much of an ask for anybody. Or, hey, look, if you have an issue with them, make your video and explain in detail what's going on and why. But if a person changes, or if they say they're not that, you have to report that too, because then the question is, are you just trying to defame this person's character because you have your own stuff going on and you don't want to give him credit, or give him credit for saying that he wasn't what you thought he was, like in Seneca's case, all right? Then you're wrong. And I'm not comfortable holding that position. I'm not saying, not that I haven't held it with some people in the past, but I'm not comfortable doing it, okay? And given the right circumstances, I will move away from that position in a heartbeat, okay? I don't think that I don't think that it's out of line to forgive people. And that's really what we're talking about here, all right? There's a key Bible verse on forgiveness. It's in Colossians 3:13, and it goes, bear with each other and forgive, and I am reading it because I happen to think about it. I want to make sure I got it right. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. And then it goes on to read in this AI report, other verses emphasize that forgiving others is conditional on God's forgiveness. That's Matthew 6:14 through 6:15. Highlights the importance of forgiveness for love and kindness. Proverbs 17:9, Ephesians 4:32, and points the example of Jesus. Then there's more as key verses on forgiveness. But the bottom line is forgiving. But and there should be I think a Bible verse is on understanding. Key Bible verse on understanding is Proverbs 4:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Other verses include Proverbs 14:29, which states that whoever is slow to anger has great understanding. Think about that. Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding. And Psalm 119:130, which says, the unfolding of your words gives light. It imparts understanding to the simple. These verses highlight that understanding comes from a reverent fear of God, patience, and the study of Scripture. Now, I'm not saying you have to fear God to forgive someone, but I am saying it's a considered start, all right? I would prefer Proverbs 3:5-6, which says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. So I can go on and on and on with these examples, but I would like to believe that I'm Christian, which means I'm always trying to be Christian, which means, in the way I define it, being better and getting better every single day. I don't have room to hate someone for how they appear to be, but I have room to accept them for how they present themselves to me. And Seneca Scott has presented himself to me as a person who is complicated, is sensitive, is thoughtful, is highly intelligent, is determined, and also feels for a whole other set of reasons vastly put upon. All right? And there you go. I don't seek confrontation with Seneca, but I find that some of the people that have been involved in the discourse about Seneca, including the Oakland side, the whole publication, have sought to have an argument and have sought to have issues with him. So the Oakland side has a whole archive about him alone. And Oakland side is ran by people who in some cases have a history of writing bad press, if you will, about black Oaklanders involved in politics. And yet they call themselves a nonprofit, and yet, I can go on and on, and I'm not going to. That's not a good publication. That's not a publication that, in my opinion, has a solid moral ground to stand on. It doesn't. So, but if I look around, I look at the cast of people who have chosen to take up sides with him. A good set of them have a tendency to be a bit too judgmental about people and not willing to forgive. Now, let's talk about the other side. There are some other people who have some really solidly legitimate gripes regarding Seneca. I get it. I'm not going to go through the name them, there's a litany of them. A number of them good friends of mine who I'm not even going to mention here, okay? I get it. I get it. I get it. But keep in mind that when Seneca puts his name out there, and I think because of the way he is, it elicits a response, and that makes him, in a sense, all too contemporary. All right? That's why I didn't know until yesterday when I was looking up something else. I didn't know he was on Fox News. Okay, Fox News, all right? National, on that Jesse guy's program, okay? And what he's done that I object to is he's seen that being a conservative black person can get him paid. And so he decided he was going to do that. And so in order to make that work, he has to have somebody to push back against. And so the people who respond against him become foils for him. And others in the nation see that. And from what I understand, he gets paid to be that person to a degree. How it's working for him financially right now, I have no idea. And, really, I'm not concerned about that. Okay. At all. But I felt in closing it was important to make this because the reactions that some have to Seneca are worth talking about and worth noting. And there you go. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and bookmark OaklandNewsOnline.com. Thanks.